hear us okay, and that it's all visually okay, and then we'll kind of do our introductions. So first up, we have, if you give us a little wave, we've got Ronnie Amato, is that right? And then we've got Jay or DCR Heller, and then we've got Exodus, and we've got Tivra. Fantastic. So let's just start with Jay. So we're just going to go into the backgrounds. Hold on, just 2 seconds. Anyone got any problems first? Just give us a quick comment if you have. Just let us know. All right, I think we're okay. So let's just look at the background. So the most important thing, what kind of background you come from, whether that be professional or whatever, and how did you get into crypto, and then finally, how did you get into?
I don't think you went live. I'm not seeing it.
Okay. It says we are live.
Okay. Now it's working. Sorry.
Is it working?
Yeah,
that's okay. I think there's, well, it looks like there's quite a big delay, but we've got 11 people watching, which is absolutely great. And hopefully we'll get some comments come through. Sorry, Jay, give us your background. Sorry, Jay, can you hear me still?
Hello? Yeah.
Hello. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was totally missed. Sorry.
No,
yeah.
That's okay,
So
that's okay.
I got into crypto I study economic, but I stopped the studies, and sorry, I got the YouTube in my background. So yeah, and then I start playing poker online. So I stopped my studies of economics, and so I know Bitcoin for a long time because in my community it was like a lot of early adopters, but I never invested time to look into it and this. And it was starting 2017 that start to look into it. And I got into Decred. And then, at that time I didn't have much money. So really just here for the fundamentals, and I invest a little bit and kind of at the bad timing. So it didn't went well. And after I kind of forget for crypto for a year, and after I come back in like 2019, 20, and I look back at my old project. I look in 2017, and Decred was the only one who's still around, solid work at good fundamentals, and just hopped in and never looked back then.
Yeah. I hear that story quite a bit, where people have kind of hopped in, they've bought some, and then they've kind of left it for a little bit and come back, as well as the poker story about playing like online pokers and whatnot with Bitcoin. Fantastic stuff. Thanks for that. So Ronnie, how about you? How did you get involved?
Well,
what's your background? Sorry.
Yeah, professionally speaking, I've been a bartender for about 30 years almost. One of my best friend, who I bartended many of those years with, he bought Bitcoin in 2017, in September, and I told him that it was silly, and I had all that conversation with him. But by October, he was up 30%, and I just couldn't let him get away with that. So I bought Bitcoin, and I fell down the rabbit hole. It's a very common story, but I'm still in that rabbit hole. So that was in October. And I was just reading about crypto 24/7, and started to find podcasts, Laura Shin and Pomp, and mostly Stephen Libera. And I had read a paragraph about Decred that explained that it was the egalitarian privacy coin. And that really resonated with me. So I bought some, and I bought a bunch of alts, but the more I researched, the more comfortable I became with Decred. And that's how I got into it.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, same as that. I mean, Decred wasn't an easy find for me. I must say, it took an absolute age to kind of work it all out. But once you do kind of take those steps, it's fantastic. And how about you, Tivra? What's your background? How did you get into it?
Hello, everyone. I would say my background is primarily academic. I was postgraduate student for philosophy. I studied philosophy, but that's actually, how it is. Philosophy is known as being pretty useless in society. So basically, you get tired of not having money as a student. So that's when I started looking at other things. But when I first started even thinking about these topics at all was actually at the university, because we had a class, political philosophy, and we were studying various economic and political thinkers and so on. But universities today tend to be very left-leaning, very left-wing, and basically, of all the texts that we were given as possible to read, I chose to focus on the one that was most, let's say, right-leaning. So being a little bit contrarian in spirit, as I am. So that's when I first read Hayek, and basically Hayek's work basically changed my perspective entirely. Because the main reason is that he doesn't give like moral arguments like why the left is bad or something like that. Not at all. Now I'm not talking so much about politics, but more like economic left, not about social left. So basically, he gives an argument that changed my perspective entirely, and it's an argument that has to do with the impossibility of a center to have the processing power to basically control the whole economic system, which is so complicated. So that's when the idea of, let's say, self-organizing systems started to interest me. But I was basically exploring many things. How could I make money online? Because with philosophy, it was a bit hard. And there were many things like I ran a company. It was kind of an affiliate marketing company. I was doing Forex, which Forex is terrible. I mean, I don't recommend it to anyone. It's for retail. It's a scam for retail, really. But anyway, in 2011, I stumbled upon an article on Slashdot. I think many people heard about Bitcoin first there. But and I was like totally enthusiastic. Okay, this is the currency of the internet. Like this is it. This is because the internet is kind of a global society, but what it lacked is like its own currency, and I was super excited. But I didn't understand Bitcoin back then. I thought it was like an anonymous peer-to-peer cash system. And because I failed to read the white paper, I thought it would probably keep its price, Back then it was $2, and I thought probably it was there on $2. So in 2013, later, when it exploded to basically like many others, I forgot about it. When it exploded in 2013, then I realized, maybe I didn't understand this properly. So I went to read the white paper. I saw, limited supply, hard cap, halvings, and so on. So then I invested a little bit, but I didn't have much money to invest. So it's not like... Then in 2014, I started mining Litecoin, not because I liked Litecoin so much, but because it was the best thing to mine on GPUs. So I was doing GPU mining for a while. Then I got caught in some pump and dumps in 2014. 2014 was like a precursor of 2017. It was like the similar to the ICO thing, but it was even worse. People were just doing copy-paste of Litecoin and created this. So basically, I got tempted by the pump and dumps, but that's how you learn the most, by failing, actually. So especially in this space. So long story short, then I got away from crypto for a while. But around that time, I did find the MC2 thread on Bitcoin Talk. Because I figured, there are all these altcoins that seem pretty useless, but is anyone working on something that is really improving upon Bitcoin? So I found that MC2 thread on Bitcoin Talk by Taco Time, and that's when I started talking to Inksock a bit. If you remember, he's named as one of the 3 founders of Decred, and I never talked to Taco Time. I just talked to Inksock a lot. And back then we were just designing logos and picking names for this currency. What could be the name on the Bitcoin Talk thread? And actually, just a funny trivia, like a funny story. Back then, my idea for the name was MetaCoin. And actually, the community voted for that name. So imagine how bad it was if it won, because now we have Meta, Facebook, so it would be terrible. So thank God my name didn't stick. Anyway, later I forgot about it, and I started working for the cryptocurrency exchange Poloniex. If you remember that one, it was huge. And then I suddenly get a message from Inkstock telling me, that project we were talking about years ago is actually it's actually going to be implemented. And I was like shocked because I thought it would just stay, just theory craft, just theory and nothing will come out of it. So I was like so super shocked that he went to Jake and Company Zero and that they actually made it happen. So that's since then I'm focusing mostly on Decred, like even more than anything else, more than Bitcoin on Monero or others. So that's it.
Wow. Yeah, no. As we were talking before the show began, and it may interest the viewers to know that each and every one of these guys have been around before or since 2017. And obviously, Tivra's been around since the absolute beginning. So yeah, we've got a real hardcore element of the community here, which is absolutely brilliant. And it's really nice, guys. Thank you so much for sharing where your backgrounds and where you come from and how you got into space. It's really kind of important actually to see that there are still people hanging around and still people actively engaging, and this project is it has long legs. It can last a long time. So we've got some bits in the community. If I ask my first question, Exodus, then we'll go to the community questions, comments. So the first one is, and this is quite a big one. So just looking at a positive, what are in your opinion, is Decred's killer feature? And is there a feature that you would like to see? So let's start with Ronnie this time. So what's Decred's killer feature, and is there a feature that you would like to see?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I want to back up a little bit. One of the reasons why Decred became interesting to me is because of this self-assemblage kind of idea that Tivra just mentioned. I had read an article by Fred Estrom, Coinbase, and blockchain governance. It talked about self-assembly and governance, and I thought it most resembled what he was talking about. Most resembled what Decred was. In fact, much more so than Bitcoin. And in fact, it was that article that really lit my interest. So I think there are two killer features. First of all, Decred's feature rich. And that's something I really like. The two features that I like to talk about is participation is one, right? Everybody in our ecosystem has the ability to participate. We're all allowed to vote on every proposal. We're allowed to vote on every consensus change. We're allowed to vote on every Decred that gets spent or DCR that gets spent from the Treasury. We're allowed to make our own proposals. And should those proposals pass, we have the ability to get funded from the Treasury. If that's not a killer feature, I don't know what is. I think that is just extraordinary. And I think it's empowering too. It's one of the reasons why I'm still here. I'm new to thinking about how it is that I can participate in the proposal system. Haven't always had the confidence, but it has always been in the back of my mind. And being here right now is actually the evolution of that. Hopefully I could be even more participatory. But yeah, being able to participate at every level, especially consensus, right? And the second feature is, well, just that, consensus. It's a killer feature in Decred. It's how we agree to agree. Because once we agree how to agree, we can agree to disagree civilly. If we come to an agreement about how we are all agreeing, we're coming to an agreement how we disagree. And I think that's really powerful. I think also that, in my opinion, I prefer that to rough consensus, because rough consensus really is a distillation of the minority. And that's exactly what we're trying to get away from, right? Those are the legacy institutions that we're trying to move away from. So I like the idea that our consensus mech allows us to participate, and I believe it is the fairest consensus mech out there. Yeah, so those are the two key features that I really enjoy.
And any thoughts on something you would like to see?
Well, I probably have a list. I wouldn't know where to start with that list.
Just the one. Just the one.
Just off the top of my head, I think I would like to see some more products on on DEX, right? Maybe some automatic market making products, perhaps something more innovative there as well. I don't know if that is in alignment, but perhaps we could have that conversation. I do think that the DEX being more robust would attract more people to the DEX, but we're still in the very early stages of DEX, right? We barely scratched that surface, so that's to come. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's amazing stuff. I couldn't agree more. The idea of getting involved in proposals and being able to contribute is absolutely amazing. And actually going through that process myself, first with Exodus as a subcontractor for his proposal and then my own, it's brilliant. Actually, I can't fault it. And I think the biggest thing, if you are going to put a proposal forward for anyone out there, is expect it to fail. You know, don't expect that the community is going to want it. It's a big community, actually. You know, and my one actually passed by the skin of its teeth, and now we have to work really hard to see if we can secure funding for the following year. But it's always those challenges, and ultimately, if you were participating in Bitcoin, you would do this. You'd just get up one day and you'd start working, and the reward would only be in tips. So the fact that you have another mechanism basically says, is what you're doing worth doing? And the community says, you know what, let's see. You know, and I really like that. Let's move on to Tivra then. What do you think the killer feature is, and what would you like to see?
Well, I would quote Chris Berniski. I think he said that if you get governance right, then you can get any feature you want. That's really that puts it brilliantly. I would say that. Maybe I would put it a little bit differently. I would name it like Taleb calls it anti-fragility. So if you most people are, I'm sure they're aware of this term already, but just to repeat what it means like basically anti-fragile is not the same as non-fragile. Non-fragile is something that when it encounters, let's call it damage, stress, or whatever, let's call it negativity, it doesn't break. So that non-fragile means that it resists stress or damage. But anti-fragile is something that grows from the stress, so it actually improves. It becomes better because of the negativity, let's call it. So if you just take a few examples from Decred, like what are the possible attack vectors? Let's say a state could make against Bitcoin. Basically, you have surveillance, so chain analysis. You have attack through centralized exchanges because they're so regulated, and you have mining centralization. Basically, all these problems you can think with Bitcoin are exactly what makes Decred better. So it's the DEX was a response to we couldn't call it an attack, but let's call it a problem Decred had. Like we weren't listed, we were delisted a couple of times. So instead of weakening us, it made Decred stronger, I think, because the DEX was built, right? So the similar thing is with privacy. Let's take another example with mining centralization. We noticed the mining was centralized, and instead of this, let's say destroying the coin like it could have, like it destroyed many other coins, I think, we could respond that and make Decred better by changing the reward distribution. So this anti-fragility, I would say, is the anti-fragility made possible with good governance is the main feature, definitely.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard the anti-fragile kind of statement before, so that was really nice. Thanks for explaining that. And is there anything else that you'd like to see?
Okay. Let's say I have a. I'm not sure if I really want it or not, but one thing that I often think about is, would it be good if Decred moved to its proof of work to something like Monero's RandomX? So
I like that.
Yeah, that's. But from what I heard, it's too complicated to do. But that's something that I think about now and then. And then another thing, more like long term, more let's say futuristic maybe even, is the topic of Sub-DAOs. So basically, could we use this blueprint of what they called in that article corporation on the blockchain or peer-to-peer corporation? Could we use this, and could other companies use it as a blueprint to make their own DAOs on the blockchain? That's something.
Yes.
That's something I would really like to see in the future.
And I think that is, I think that is a very strong. I think that is very strong. I think about that all the time, and I think it's a great possibility that DEX can facilitate that.
Yeah.
And for viewers, don't forget to read Peer-to-Peer Corporations by Tivra on Decode Magazine. Absolutely amazing article. Yeah,
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, blew my mind. Actually.
Really well written.
Thank you so much.
Jay, over to you.
Yeah, so for me, the killer feature of Decred is his ability to last in time. Just because, I mean, I don't know. I know I can give it to my future grandson, and it's like, and I feel like you can build on it if you know is going to last in time and is made to being here in 50 years, in 100 years. I think is just so powerful. Like you can risk, you can build on it, you can just my killer features. And governments made it possible. Governance and
Anything you'd like to see?
And what I would like to see is a bit controversial because it will be a stablecoin for me. I think adoption, if you look at the total market cap of all the stablecoin, is like going up like a bit crazy. And I think with Decred we got the good fundamentals to build it. The question is how to build it. But I think, it will be handsome. It will be really great to have a stablecoin integrating to Decred. I just read a paper a few weeks ago. Some people are doing it with Bitcoin in a wallet. So basically, you got a Bitcoin wallet, and I think it's called Satostable, and so you can switch Bitcoin and the stablecoin. And what they do internally is they open a short position and a long position at the same time. So yes, you are losing a bit because the fees, but it's like kind of a stable coin. And so what I've been thinking lately is if the DEX could make a future market, maybe use it as a mechanism for the stable coin. But that's all a lot of work to do.
Well, I think a lot of people do want the stable coins. After seeing what happened to Terra and even the depegging, there was one on the Waves platform that depegged massively, Neutrino, I think it was called. It would really be how you would do it, and I quite like the idea that's been spouted around about collateralizing it. But like I say, that's I know it's a feature that a lot of people want, and we talked. I think one of our first episodes, My Nexus did, was on stablecoins and could they work? No, so absolutely valid. Go on, Tivra.
So just something I wanted to mention, like a funny thing that happened a few years ago. Just there was a guy who came and dropped a PDF and said, "I got this idea how to do stable coins on Decred." And and it was like made for exactly a coin that has a similar hybrid mechanism and so on. And then he just disappeared. So it's like a similar, like a Satoshi or that Mimblewimble guy moment. So if someone wants
to have the paper,
that's why I mentioned it. So later I can send you if you want.
Yeah. So you send it to you privately?
It's possible to publish it, no problem. I think that guy doesn't care because he just disappeared. But
so we send it to you privately?
No. He posted it somewhere, and I think on the Decred forum when it still existed, if you remember.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and then he deleted it and disappeared.
That's weird.
But you saved it.
Yeah, I saved it. Yeah.
Okay.
But I have no opinion. I have no opinion on it, so I don't know about stable. I mean, there are many problematic things, and like the thing they worry about, if anything algorithmic you do, I'm worried that it could destabilize the other coin. That's my worry. So I'm not sure.
Yep, the adoption will be massive. I mean, imagine having a stablecoin backed by Decred, which have the strongest fundamental in the market. The adoption will be massive.
It all depends on the implementation. Yeah.
I think our first stepping stone could be like DAI and USDC and stuff on DEX. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it's how you do it. Exus, you haven't said anything for ages, so let's pass this over to you. Any thoughts on what's just been said?
I agree with you guys completely. Decred's best feature is by far its governance abilities, the ability to adapt, the ability to get better over time. And that's what we've seen since we've all been here since 2017, 2018, 2019. We've seen Decred get better. So it's not just talk. We know it happens. Every month we release the Decred journal. The DEX is getting better. DCRD is getting better. They're making Decrediton better. They're adding, treasury voting and everything. So that's by far and large Decred's best feature. It's going to get better. It can adapt. And as far as features go, I agree. A stablecoin done correctly would be great, but of course, done correctly. And I know Decred core developers are very against scams and other flimsy things, but I also think colored coins would be a nice thing to see. Again, if done right, that would be a big move forward. So yeah, that's what I think.
Great stuff, man. Anything happening in the community that we can talk about, or is it?
We have one question.
Ronnie.
I think a few questions from Scott. He says, "Will Decred's treasury hit in the hundreds of millions?" And the answer is, it did during the last bull run. When Decred hit $250, I think the treasury was something around $200 million, somewhere along those lines. Obviously, that was the bull run. Prices have gone down, and now we're at like 25 million for the treasury. But obviously, once the bull run comes back and the Decred developers and community keep building, I think the prices will go up to that point again, if not higher. Ideally, they go higher. Who knows? Maybe Jake's new feature will catapult Decred. But certainly, I think it's going to go to hundreds of millions. The project is incredibly conservative with its spending. I think it maybe spends $1 million per year on everything, maybe even less. I mean, all the spending is public. So yeah, I think it can certainly go into the hundreds of millions. What do you guys think?
It could go into the billions, I think.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I think the fact that it hasn't been. Sorry,
I don't see any reason why. No, that's quite all right. I don't see any reason why the price accrual does not happen for Decred. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, price accrual will happen. Yeah, it will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. With the new supply, with the new block reward, I think there's certainly going to be a supply constriction.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows, maybe we'll get listed on some new exchanges. Who knows, maybe the DEX will get more and more popular. It's super easy to use now, and once they introduce stable coins, big things could happen.
Yeah.
So Scott also asks, my question is, why is there no marketing around the reduction schedule? Methinks is one of the biggest outliers. I don't know. I think that'd be good. I mean, what do you guys think about marketing around the reduction schedule? Decred's block reward. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's I guess you could call it a feature. And right, it's scarcity. Scarcity is a big topic in the space. And the reason why there's no marketing around it is because we don't really have a lot of marketing to begin with. But if we had, let's just say we had a team talking about what to market, I think that would be a topic to market for sure.
Yeah, the marketing, we're still trying to find our ground with marketing. It was secure, sustainable, adaptable, which I personally thought was great. And now we've kind of moved on to Decred. It's evolving money, which I think sounds cool, and it captures the ethos of the project that, hey, we're going to get better and we're not going to stagnate. So, evolve or dissolve. But I mean, like it's an open project. Anyone can submit a proposal. Scott, if you think you have a great idea for marketing Decred around reduction schedule, you can submit a proposal, or you can organize with other people to submit a proposal and get funding. That's the great thing with Decred,
Yeah. Well, let's stay on that topic because actual fact this is quite a big part of it now. So the next question I had is what initiatives or activities should we be encouraging the community to start, work on, or improve, and what could we do better? Tivra, do you want to start this one off?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really hard topic because often people come and say, why there's no marketing, why there is no marketing, right? But then it's good to look a bit at our history, what we already tried. And many of the things that people say we already tried. We had a marketing PR company that didn't work out. We had, we were doing like kind of like airdrops, but not airdrops, how do you call them? Those puzzles, you know, where you could earn. And all those things had some success and so on. But now we're in kind of a very conservative approach. I think we're just doing, basically our marketing is just us tweeting, no? I think, and your videos, and that's it, no? I mean, community.
Yeah, yeah, that's, I would say it's basically Decred Magazine. I think is a nice next step in fostering a more community stuff. With the interviews, I think are really nice for sure.
I agree.
So shout out to Phoenix for that.
I totally agree. Yeah, I mean, seeing the faces of the people that are involved is it's really important. I think. Like for instance, when I watched that your interview we did with Buck, it's really nice to. You get a feeling that basically there are people out there. You know, it's not just an anonymous mass of nicknames.
We're not paid Chinese bots, are we?
right, exactly. So that's really good. So I'm actually optimistic. I mean, I think the direction is good. You know, like you mentioned, with Decred Magazine, with your videos, and with I also have to congratulate the people on Twitter. I mean, we have some really committed people on Twitter who are really tirelessly tweeting. And the only thing I would tell them is that maybe sometimes like it's a little bit too much like shilling, you know, like.
I do that maybe.
No, I don't think you're the guy who does that the most. But
okay.
No, not you. But basically, yeah, we have to be subtle, right? Wherever we talk about Decred, so because there is such an oversaturation of shilling that people have a psychological defense mechanism whenever they hear about coins. Oh no, another coin. No, right? So it's really hard to penetrate those automatic defenses, so to speak. But one thing I found to be effective is basically finding conversations and just inserting yourself into them when the people already talk about governance or they already talk about decentralized exchanges. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but they tend to ignore whenever Decred is mentioned. People, this is I would even say it's a mystery to me. I would even call it a mystery sometimes, because it's like sometimes it's really not clear why people avoid mentioning it. For instance, you will see Vitalik talk about something that is exactly like Decred, but he will never say the word. So it's
yes.
And he knows about Decred, right? Like there's general knowledge that he knows about Decred and chooses not to talk about it.
Exactly. He was a journalist for Bitcoin magazine, and he wrote about it, so he knows about it.
I would like to just add there that as far as being active on Twitter, it's great. I'd like to see maybe a little more activity on Reddit. I think Reddit's a good area to penetrate. Our cryptocurrency is very active. But like Tivra said, we get blacklisted from there too, almost, where anytime you post about Decred, it gets downvoted immediately. It's like it's like we're not even shilling Decred. We're posting like concrete, like informative information. Hey, this is Decred. It does these things. It actually does these things. It is not just some white paper. And people downvote it and they upvote Dogecoin and whatever scam coin of the day is out there.
It's incredible,
Yeah.
Well, I think that thank you. I know that JYP talks about being shadow banned, and I believe, like you mentioned, I mean, there are a lot of thought leaders who know about Decred. I mean, everybody really knows about Decred. People say all the time that nobody knows about Decred. Every thought leader in the space has mentioned Decred before, and yet they don't talk about it now. You know, did you mention Balaji is that who you talked about? Tivra, who talks
No,
about?
I think I was mentioning Vitalik, but
Vitalik. Yeah, no. So
yeah.
Vitalik often talks about constructs that are exactly like Decred.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Balaji does too.
Mhm.
The first time I heard him on Pump, a 3-hour podcast, and I was like, this is exactly what Decred is, like the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, I think JYP is right. I think there is a coordinated effort, but I think we have to coordinate in a more professional marketing. Listen, most of these coins, and I'll go with Bitcoin too. But let's put Bitcoin aside and let's just talk about everything else, including Ethereum. They're all backed by VCs, and they have coordination, right? They have, they're just coordinated with lawyers and marketing campaigns and their Twitter, right? So the reason why people talk about those coins is because there's an army putting out that information. So we might not have quite that army, but I think we can coordinate. And we talked about marketing in a little bit. I believe that we need professional marketing. We're all still hurt over Ditto, right? But the problem with Ditto was that besides them probably not being a great PR firm, it is a PR. Decred has never had marketing, branding, and marketing. Public relations is not marketing, and I think we need professional marketing. Listen, yeah, I go to these, I was at a hockey game, and I think it was Algorand or all over the stadium. I was watching a Mets game, and Tezos was on the TV, like the big TV in center field. Tezos.
Yeah,
Tezos. I was like, as well. I'm seeing, we're competing with Super Bowl ads. We're competing with celebrity endorsements. We're competing with naming rights to stadiums. And that's all coordinated. So I think we need to do a better job of coordination. And going back towards something like the dwindling of supply, these are things that we could talk about. There's a lot in Decred that we can talk about and market around.
Yeah, no, I like the idea of advertising, I must say. And like you were saying about Tezos, they're Formula One, they're Manchester United's training kit and all sorts. It's literally everywhere over here at the moment. So I can't believe it, because for a long time, I think crypto, you weren't allowed to publicly do like adverts and stuff. But Tezos is everywhere.
I think the first step for that is you have to be on the big exchanges. Because if you're just publicly advertising yourself, if we did something like that with Decred and someone saw a Decred sign and said, okay, I want to buy some, and this is just some average guy, if they can't go to Coinbase or Kraken or even Robinhood, like it's going to trip them up, and the advertising or marketing won't be worth it because they probably won't buy it, So with Decred, we have to get to that first step of getting on exchanges. That's what we need. And the DEX is great. But obviously, the normal user, someone who isn't super technical, I mean, you don't have to be technical to use the DEX, but you have to be moderately technical to understand what an atomic swap is. The average person usually needs, the centralized exchanges. I had an uncle ask me, hey, AXs, what? I looked at Robinhood for Decred, I couldn't find it. Why isn't Decred at Robinhood? And I was like, well, they choose what they list, and they haven't listed us. Sorry. But before we go into that type of advertising, we definitely need to be on the big exchanges.
Yeah.
Do we pay listing fees to get there?
I think it would depend on the size of the listing fee, and I think that would be great for the community to decide. I mean, that's the thing; we can decide that. It goes to vote, but I think these exchanges wouldn't take that risk, which is the irony of they claim to be about cryptocurrency and supporting blockchain governance and being, open in all these things, and yet they won't disclose this information or whatever. So they won't. They ultimately wouldn't even want it to go to vote by a decentralized global blockchain community. So yeah,
because they could actually ask for the listing fee on the Politea. I mean, they could ask the community to pay, but they will never do it. But I think it's not the listing fee. I think it's something else. Don't you think so? that prevents us from being listed.
Decred's volume has been struggling a bit, so I think
Mhm.
obviously they make money off the trading and everything, but
Mhm.
it's like what comes first? Does the volume come first, or does getting listed on a big exchange
Yeah, it's
exchange
the
come first? So
chicken
yeah,
and the egg problem. Yeah.
yes.
How about you, Jay?
Yeah, I agree with you all. But I will add just that I will give it time. I mean, the good thing is we are made to last. So every time we get better, will come a time where they can't ignore us anymore. We will be so better, so the best, and the people don't have choice to list us, do their stuff. But yeah, one thing I would like to see on Twitter, and I think sometimes is a bit awkward, is like when people are talking Decred as a Bitcoin killer. I mean, that I don't think that's a good message to send. And I mean, even if it's true, yeah, we have more futures, we have more, but you get to pay respect to the Bitcoin. And one thing I see it like as a complementary, like you want to have a part like where it's not going to change, it's going to be as this forever, whatever happens, and one thing evolves and get better, and it's like yin to yang, as Checkmate says.
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Yeah, and I think so.
Like, I understand that we have to give some reverence to Bitcoin. But my biggest problem with Bitcoin is the lack of privacy. It doesn't have strong privacy insurance. And I think there's a lot of marketing around that Decred has stronger privacy insurances. And that could be a marketing campaign. I'm okay with Decred being a Bitcoin killer. I also think it would create controversy if we and that controversy brings publicity. I don't know if that's necessarily how the community would like to position themselves, but if we had a lot of controversy, if we wrote articles that pitted Decred against Bitcoin, and we highlighted Bitcoin's flaws and our strengths, I think I think we can get a lot of controversy and publicity from there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we had this conversation a few weeks ago, and I kind of have to retract what I was saying at the time to you. And I think you were right at the time, and I need to kind of reverse that and just make sure we do have a little bit more controversy. And as I thought about it, actually, yeah, you know what? This is kind of what people want to see, especially in terms of marketing. They kind of feed off it, don't they? So, yeah, no, I quite openly admit that I was wrong to you on that one. I think, yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you were wrong. I think it's something that we probably should look at both sides,
Yeah.
And I think if we do create controversy, we're gonna have to back it up. So, wrong? I don't know, wrong, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, and I think with my own stuff, I tend to go towards the polite side of things. Where in actual fact, when you look at what others are doing and they're getting all these hits, it really is about the obnoxious and the kind of the massive arguments that are exploding. So yeah, I'm willing to I mean, I don't think I'm the right person to write that, but certainly I think I need to retract what I was doing with your last article and make sure we kind of pump that in that direction, see what happens actually. So yeah, I've given it more thought since.
I don't necessarily think we should market Decred as a Bitcoin killer, but I don't think there's anything wrong with saying Decred is superior to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. If you look at the technology, it is better. Like there's no doubt it is better. Ask Dave Collins, lead developer. Guy knows Bitcoin and Decred inside out. Decred is better technology. There's no debate over it. Obviously, yes, Bitcoin has the volume. Everyone knows about it, household name and everything. But looking at the tech, Decred is better. So I don't think we should be afraid to say that.
Yeah,
that's controversial.
that was pretty much what Ronnie's article started off, but I kind of tamed it down, and I'm going to go and retract that actually, because it was quite nice the way it was almost attack mode, and at the time I was like, oh god, this is too much of an attack mode. But now thinking about it, it's like, you know what? Yeah, I think maybe we should have a little bit of that, because ultimately, like X just said, we do have the technology to back it up, so we shouldn't be afraid of saying, hey, think about it in this way instead. So yeah,
definitely get a little spicy with the marketing. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a proposal a few years back about having a billboard in Los Angeles. Do you guys remember that
I
proposal?
remember that.
And, yeah, some guy wanted he worked for a billboard company. He said, hey, we can put a Decred billboard. Here's how much money. And it didn't pass because it was a little bit shaky of a proposal. But I remember thinking, and I'm not sure if someone said this, but having just saying on the billboard, Decred is a better Bitcoin, and how much that would generate, how much interest that could generate. Like how do you approach marketing? You have to be a little, controversial,
Yeah, I think so. I think this is where I'm not very good at it, because I think actual fact you guys are, you've got to be a bit controversial. I like it a lot.
The problem with Decred is that there's just so much Decred does. It's so hard to wrap it all up into a simple message. It's doing a lot of things. If you look at Monero, it does privacy. Bitcoin, okay, store of value. Litecoin is, they suppose, it's lighter Bitcoin. What else? Dogecoin's fun. What is Decred? Okay, Decred governance. Governance, but it's also privacy, Lightning Network, DEX. I'm probably missing something, but it's doing a lot of stuff.
Mixing.
I call it the jack of all trades coin, basically. Just whatever you want.
Yeah, nice. It's brilliant. X has put this one in about more specifically, how should we be marketing the Decred DEX? Tivra, you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, basically I have two things to say. One is that I like the idea of changing the name. That's the first thing. I think we should find a better name. Not because Decred is in the name, but just Decred DEX. It's it's a little bit long. I think something shorter and easy to remember would be a good idea. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I think we should target those communities whose coins will be listed on the DEX. That's what we should do, I think.
Yeah.
So, and I got a little bit of success with that on Twitter with the Zcash community. Basically, people get excited if you tell them, your coin is going to be on the DEX. There are no fees. There is no coin in the middle you have to buy. They get excited and they retweet to their own communities. So that's what I think. We need to market it to the communities. Zcash is a good one, I think, because they're already privacy oriented. They have a pretty big community. They're well funded, so that's a good direction. And then, of course, when Ethereum is on, then it's even greater opportunity there.
Yeah. Anyone heard anything about the Ethereum merge? Is that going forward this week? No, not a word.
I'm not following it so much.
I had read that once you stake, you have to wait until they release a new version to unstake, which is insane.
It's insane.
It's insane.
Yeah. How about you, Jay?
Everyone's okay with it.
Yeah, it was such a long time. Any thoughts on marketing for Decred DEX?
No, I think just make it clear that there is no fees, because everyone is so used to use Uniswap. You have to pay the fees and just on-chain fees, and there's nothing to do with Decred, almost nothing to do, just the pair. But yeah, I think.
And Ronnie?
Well, if before we heavily market the DEX, we probably need more coins on there. I guess Bitcoin is a good. I think we need more listings or coins. Obviously, when Ethereum is finally up and running, we'll have all those ERC20s, right? So when we get there, then I think we heavily market the DEX. I'm not exactly sure how to do that, but no fees. Obviously no KYC. These things that we should probably pound home.
Yeah, I think this week I did my first ever trade on DEX, because I'm going to do a series on actual DCR DEX and just kind of showing how to get in and out of I've forgotten the one I use. Coinbase. Yeah. So I literally took it from a bit of 40 DTR into Bitcoin, transferred it over to Coinbase, and then got it out in pounds. And up until the point I took it to Coinbase, it was less than it was about 20p in fees, I think. And then I got to Coinbase, and that was including slippage, because I actually did it as a market order both times just to test the market. And the minute I got to Coinbase, the Coinbase fees were like 12 quid. It was £1,000, and the Coinbase fees were like 12 quid. And I'm not even kidding. But doing everything else, going from Decred to Bitcoin, and if I wanted to go back again, I could literally do it all day for about £1.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah. But the minute I took it to Coinbase, literally it cost me, it was either £12 or £14. And when you think about it like that, I mean, more reason for things like Litecoin, I suppose, because the fees do tend to be a bit higher on Bitcoin. But yeah, and in terms of the time it took, the actual trade itself was in seconds. The only thing I had to wait for was the 2 confirmations online, which took an hour. But it was a really nice experience, I've got to be honest. Moving on then, so we're looking at the TS now and looking at the market behavior. So it says here, what are your thoughts on the strange behavior in Decred markets lately, and how TS, the suppressor, is perceived to be manipulating this area? So for those not following this discussion, on the 8th of last month, the Decred price went from £19 all the way up to £50. I'm not sure what that was in dollars. Sorry, guys. And now it's currently hovering around £26. So it's like over 100% up, 130% up, and then about 100% or 90% down, I think. So quite a lot of movement. One thing I was noticing at the time is the way the hash rate was acting. The way the minute these kind of drops in price happened, the actual hash rate went up to from 50 petahashes all the way up to 100 petahashes. And I was kind of trying to find a bit of correlation there. But any thoughts on that? Who wants to go first? Let's go for Jay first. Any thoughts on what's been happening with the suppressor and the market behavior?
I think he still got coins. And yeah, he will run out soon. Yeah. And yeah, with the market, I think just aware who buy a bunch of Decred, send the price up, then the suppressor. Yeah.
Do you think that there is a suppressor? Do you think that this is factual, or do you think that there's something more at play here?
I think there is definitely an organization who get an advantage in mining and who was selling the coin in a malicious way. Yeah, for sure. Because it's not normal when you open Binance or every exchange and you don't see any dip in the order book. But as soon as there is a pump, there is the coins comes and the selling is coming. So that's not very normal, I think.
Yeah, no, it's certainly seemed that way. And that was my correlation with the hash price going up as well. My thought is in order for them to move their coins really quickly and cheaply, is obviously the hash price went up and they could move their coins within minutes, just purely because the difficulty was a lot easier to achieve. So that was something I was thinking. I was wondering if, because there was a lot of movement from exchanges. So I don't know. That was just a theory in my head. Yeah. Cool. How about you, Ronnie?
Well, there's obviously some coordinated effort, right? I mean, these pumps have been everything that Jay just said is I don't think you can deny that, right? So somebody has coins and is bringing it to market randomly or seemingly randomly, right? My big thing with moving from proof of work to proof of stake with the reward split is that I don't think it eliminates the attack vector. I think that attack vectors exist both in proof of work and stake. I think right. And now if somebody wants to manipulate Decred badly enough, they can just stake now, right? And then they have voting rights. So I've been a little bit vocal about the reward split being 33, 33, 33, because I think two reasons. One, I think proof of work is worthy of being higher, just in the balance of centralization. Right? I think, yeah. Also because I would like to see the Treasury have more funds to do to attract devs, to advertise. But I would, if we had a big budget for advertising, like a Wall Street kind of firm, I would vote for that. I also think that proof of work miners have the right to sell at market rate, and what we need to do is make Decred more valuable. And how we do that is by, I think we need stronger privacy. I think we need to focus on merchant adoption. I think we need louder messaging, or branding and advertising. There's proof of work. Listen, it works for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is entirely proof of work. And there are many forces that like to see Bitcoin fail, right? So there's no doubt about that. There are many forces that manipulate Bitcoin. I don't think Bitcoin's free of manipulation by any means. All markets are manipulated. There's game theory, and you can't eliminate that. So yeah, I think there's a suppressor or an organization who is profiting, or perhaps even trying to keep the price down. But if Decred is valuable enough, then people will be buying, right? Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's nice to have the opposite side, actually. No, that's good. How about you, Tivra?
Well, I agree, but the difference between Bitcoin and Decred is that in Bitcoin, the proof of work miners are basically they are keeping their coins. They're not selling in the way that we've seen them selling in Decred. Decred had a story. Decred's proof of work story already begins with the dual mining with the Ethereum, and that's already when you had miners who just didn't even know what they were mining. Like, they didn't even care. They just immediately dumped it. I don't think that's how Bitcoin proof of work was meant to be, because there were no altcoins, there were no dual mining, there was nothing in the mind of Satoshi back then. So these are some problems, and I think we've all seen some strange behavior with the selling. It didn't seem like someone who just wants to make money from it, based on the blogs by Tacos Revenge. Those blogs were convincing to me. I think one difference between proof of work and proof of stake attacks is that with the proof of stake attack, if you want to purchase a large amount of coins to attack, you basically have to pump the price really high, right? So that's the difference. If I buy or produce a lot of ASICs, nobody knows, right? It doesn't have a direct impact on the market. But with proof of stake, you notice the price exploding, right? And actually this strategy, even if TS is staking and wants to attack us and so on, will backfire, I think, because the big green candles, they attract more people, and those people start buying, and then so basically, and I think it's already backfiring. You notice that these recent pumps, they're not retracing like they were before. Before we get the pump, and then it retraced exactly where it started, almost like next day. But now it's not like that anymore. I mean, I notice a different pattern in the charts emerging. I think it's actually we've bottomed out, and we are just now on. It's going to get better with price, I think, from now on.
Yeah, you called it perfect in Matrix a few days back. That's for sure.
Yeah, that was prophetic clairvoyance.
How about you, Exodus? You got any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. Going off what Tivra just said, price going up, those big green charts is probably does more for marketing than your the banner at the baseball game will. So that's always a good thing. But yeah, it's been really crazy to watch the charts, and it's exciting, but it's just like, what you have to ask yourself, what exactly is going on here? What is happening with Decred? Why is it just crazy pumpage? And like Tivra said, the dumps haven't been as bad lately, so who knows, maybe someone's trying to change something. But yeah, as far as the TS goes, definitely there's seems to be some entity out there who was trying to suppress Decred and maybe other coins. So yeah. There's a new comment from Brian Stafford in the chat. Brian is the DEX developer. Buck. He says the DEX standalone app with new markets user interface will be marketable. It's almost there. So I think that'll be a big thing.
Amazing.
That'll be awesome, because that was probably a problem, was to get people to download the Crediton in order to access the DEX. It's kind of weird, but hopefully that will fill that gap. But yeah, the DEX developers are just they're taking it one step at a time, getting Ethereum ready, the new app, constantly making it better. So yeah, exciting.
Yeah, I think it was an important point that pretty much all of the coins are being attacked in various ways. So, but it is nice to see that we have the voting power, and if we want to change it, we can. And that's the kind of point. And if something doesn't work even after voting, we then have the opportunity to do other things as well, which is absolutely great. Now we're at the hour point, and I'm very conscious that the three guys that came on today have very specific things that they would like to discuss. So we're going to overrun ever so slightly. Just give them maybe 5 minutes each, just to talk about the hot thing or the hot topic that they're really interested in, or that they would like to see, or something that's on their mind, or what they're researching. That each of them comes from different avenues. So let's start with Ronnie. What's the hot thing that you'd like to talk about before we have to close this show down?
Sure. Yeah. Well, so I've been following Balaji's work in network state, and the network state is a group of participants that are disassembled by geography, but are coordinated by shared values and a shared consensus system, a shared currency. And the goal for the network state would be to become self-sovereign state recognized by larger political institutions. Now, with Decred's governance, I don't know of any other currency that I think can pull this off as well as Decred. Right? So something inherent to the network state is the circular economy. And I would like to see Decred and our stakeholders and our community perhaps start a marketplace where we trade and exchange value for goods and/or services, and create an economic foothold that becomes so powerful that we would have to get recognition. I just think that Decred's governance structure is the best tool for the job.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a marketplace. I like the idea of having more not marketing, but tools for merchants and things like that as well. So yeah, really good point on that. How about you, Jay? What's the one thing that you came on the show that you wanted to discuss?
Apart from stablecoin, I think Sub-DAOs were going to be a huge thing, like really, really huge. I think because like you create consensus in a community, like a different community, different organization, and yeah, I think that's going to be hard to make and to build, but I think it's going to be a bright future.
I read in your post that you've been doing some research on, or you've been thinking about Sub-DAOs. we had a discussion on Sub-DAOs the other day, and basically the way that you could have different pots of funding for different things. I mean, how do you envisage the Sub-DAO, and what kind of things do you think it would be better at doing than the current DAO that we have?
Well, I tend to think about it about use case. So, for example, I will think, let's see, a football club with all the supporters. So, what they need, what they want, what's going to bring. Another example will be, for example, let's say 3 friends who open a business together, like what rules need to create the Sub-DAOs, and what can bring use case. That's kind of my research now. Yeah, I
think arguably, especially that last one, you could almost have the voting process be a multi-sig wallet, couldn't you? So where you say, look, there's 5 of us here, if 3 of us vote yes or open the wallet, then that fund goes ahead. So we're not actually that far away from that happening. And I like this idea that, say for instance, you and your friends have pulled a pot of money, where rather than having to go through like the main treasury to do some decred work, you can actually have your own pool and you can actually do that. That's something that's quite hot on my mind, actually. I think, and as things go forward, that would be really nice to see different development teams, different community teams, all kind of working in their own fields and have access to money in that way. Yeah. So no, that's really cool. Is there any other thoughts you want to put on that one before I move on?
No, not much. No.
You have enough. Oh, great stuff. No, it's really cool. I like that. And Tivra, anything you're thinking about?
Well, one thing I'm thinking about lately is basically some people are there is a very common accusation, let's say, against some people having too large a stake and things like that. I can hear that often. Can you hear that too? Yeah.
Yeah,
happens,
yeah,
right?
definitely.
And I actually wonder if that's true. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But my main question is it a problem or not? Because, for instance, in Bitcoin, we know there is a wallet with 1 million Bitcoin, right? And okay, let's say it's different in Decred because there is voting, right? So basically, this question I'm asking myself is about this demand for more democracy, let's call it, right? But okay, on the other hand, some people want more democracy, but in the other hand, are we satisfied? With our current what's going on in the world? Like, isn't there a feeling that the system we are having in our real political lives isn't really as good as it presents itself, right? For instance, in the ancient times, Plato called democracy almost the most degenerate system. So he basically put it at the third of the four. So only tyranny is worse. So the only thing he could say good about democracy is that it's not tyranny. That's the only good thing. Everything else is bad about it. And it's interesting that for most of history, actually, it was almost like an insult. It meant mob rule. Only recently, like the last 200 years, it became almost synonymous with basically, it means just justified now. We don't even know what it means. It just means a government is justified if it's democratic. But we know even North Korea calls itself democratic, or in People's Republic and so on. But I'm interested in this, basically attacking this holy cow of democracy as the ultimate form of government. But it can mean many things. At least democracy in this meaning of one person, one vote. That this is the best possible system. Because, like, to provoke you a little bit, I would ask this question: is it possible? Can you imagine a situation where someone else would vote? Basically, okay, let's take Decred's weighted voting system. So each person has a different weight. Their vote has a different weight. And let's say someone is early, I don't know, a developer or an early contributor or whoever, early investor, has a larger stake than you. And okay, he can outvote you. So let's say you vote no, he votes yes. And then later you see, okay, so I was outvoted with someone who has a bigger stake. But is it possible that later you can see that actually his vote was what you actually wanted, right? It's possible, it's thinkable, right? Because how could it happen? It could happen because those with bigger stake are either earlier or, let's say, have a more long-term view, right? So it's not a priori a good thing that the stakes will be equalized, right? Because maybe the bigger stakes have a bigger horizon also. So that's something that I'm thinking about lately.
Can I say something? Yeah. I will say I agree, and I will say that when you look at Decred chart, the price is like a bit crazy, really high, really low, really high, really low. But that's good because, I mean, if you want Decred, you can find it cheap,
Exactly.
So,
yeah, it was on sale for many years.
Some people are early adopters, but if you believe in the fundamentals and you want to to be
Absolutely.
in, if
Absolutely.
you have plenty of time to buy it cheap.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, another thing, a little bit controversial, is I wonder what you guys think about it, but time is running out. But anyway, basically, is whether DAOs should have some kind of leadership or not. I'm a bit skeptical. I'm very skeptical, actually, of direct democracy, right? So that people should vote about everything. Like, I think Nick Szabo gave this example that if you're on an airplane, right, you don't want people to vote on what the pilot should do, right? You just want the pilot to decide. So, of course, I think we need to. I'm not for this idea that a DAOs shouldn't have leadership. I think I'm against this idea, actually, because I don't think anything gets done without leadership, really. Look at companies, like why do corporations work, right? Because they have strong leadership, right? And if there is no, okay, but wait a minute. At the same time, there has to be a mechanism to stop this leadership if it goes in the wrong direction. And I think we have to find a middle way between these two things. Like you get the effectiveness of leadership, but you also get the possibility to always stop it if it goes in the wrong direction because of the proof of stake voting. That's my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. Anyone want to talk about that one? Exus, you got any thoughts on that one? I think that's actually amazing.
I think there does need to be management on some level just to make sure everyone's doing what they need to do and things are getting updated. But yeah, it's difficult because you'd have to elect those managers, which I don't have a problem with that because the community could vote to choose maybe a few managers to just kind of help get things done, I guess. But yeah, he makes some really interesting points.
Yeah, but I don't know if you ever saw a community without anyone who wants to lead. I mean, it can get chaotic pretty quickly.
Yeah, we've got a pretty good happy medium in Decode because there are admin, there are kind of moderators, and to my knowledge, I haven't seen them step in and flat right chuck something down. Like, for instance, if someone put up a Politeia proposal, I haven't seen it ever get rejected. And there's been some up there you think, oh gosh. However, you do see communities come together, or community members come together and actually openly critique, which is actually a really important part of the process. I mean, going back a few months when Bison Pool started, and I did a Decred magazine post, and I got critiques straight away. In actual fact, at that particular moment, I was very thankful for that because it showed that the community cared enough to actually say, "Come on, we don't stand for this. This isn't what we're trying to achieve." But without that would have gone through. That would have stayed up there, and that would have been part of the thing. So, in that respect, having that kind of admin, having that kind of passionate community is actually really important. But don't get me wrong, people that are probably from the more conventional world see that as most people see that as an open threat, as a kind of an attack on them. But if you think about it logically, it's the people protecting their beliefs, and so I think we've got a really nice balance, especially if you are a part of some of the conversations and stuff. Exus, have we got any community questions you want to talk about?
I don't know if we have any questions. We have lots of comments, but they're mainly comments about what we've been discussing.
Okay. Yeah, I think this has been great, guys. Is there any final remarks you guys want to make? Any kind of self promotion you want to do? If we go round, so if we start with Ronnie and go round, so anything you want to finish up with?
Well, I was hoping to circle back and to see if you guys had any information about. Well, circle back to stablecoins and particularly Haven. And would that be? I own a little bit of Haven. I don't. What I know about Haven, I've read on the website. It seems to me that it could be a good fit for a Decred in the stablecoin context. Does anybody have any opinions on that?
Yeah, I've used Haven actually, and to be fair, if you're a gambler, it's perfect. If you want a stable coin, it's not good actually. It's really bad. If you think about Haven, it takes on the same as Monero. So the idea is it's meant to be 21 million max cap, but it actually has this emission, so it can actually go past 21 million. Now, when I got into Haven, the cap was something like 18 million. But what you can do is you can put your Haven in and you can draw out an asset. Now, this is where the gambling part comes in, is you've got these fluctuations. So say, for instance, the Haven price goes up massively, then you can swap it out and you can swap it back too. So what was happening is the supply of Haven was actually going up. I think at one point, and I know there's a member in the community that probably corrects me on this, but it got up to about 24, 25 million. So from my perspective, is if you've got this playground where you can actually trade against that asset, at some point, my thought was that you are literally, it doesn't become a stable asset because you can trade in and out. It becomes more like, the reward side of things is huge, actually, I think. But yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents anyway. Anyone else? Yeah. So if you're into it, I mean, the wallet was quite difficult to set up as well. Actually, it was a web wallet. But if you do want to kind of hedge your bet against a stable asset and kind of in and out of what's meant to be a hard asset, it did seem like a nice little playground for that. But anything else you want to add, Ronnie?
No, I'm really pleased to be here, and I hope to be the further part of the community with proposals and more podcasts and so on and so forth. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it'd be great to get you on more podcasts and really kind of drill down some more of your thoughts. Actually, I think you're and if you guys in the chat are not following Ronnie as Mad Skrilla on Twitter, you definitely should. He's a little bit controversial at times, but generally worth following if you want both sides of the tale. It's brilliant, actually. How about you, Jay?
Oh, thank you very much for having me, and I will try to be a bit more involved. I've been thinking this for months and years, like starting articles, videos, but I never posting nothing. So I'm gonna try to get a bit more involved. And thank you to everyone for this great conversation. And sorry for my broken English.
No, you've been brilliant, Jay. And if you do write articles, and this goes for everyone in the community, and you want to get them on Decred magazine, just send me a line either on Twitter, Decred Society, and let's try and get more people involved that way. And I'm definitely up for publishing it. And if the work's good enough and you want to contribute more, we could definitely look at bringing you in as a contributor. And obviously, if you become a contributor or an official contributor, there's money there for that. So yeah, it'd be great to have you on, Jay. That welcome is extended to you. And finally, what about Tivra?
Thank you so much for having me on. It was great fun. It was amazing to talk to you guys. I hope we can do it again. My Twitter is here in the box written below, I think. And I'm writing another article. Hopefully, I will publish it on Decred magazine. Thank you. And that's about it for now. Yeah, I'm always present in the chats, and if anyone is watching this and is not on the Decred chats, you should go on.
Yeah, definitely. And if you go to either the YouTube or the Decred magazine, I will post all three handles so you can follow them. And they're all quite insightful people, well worth following. And once again, it's absolutely amazing to talk to you guys, and it's brilliant. Yeah. But I think we need to give Exodus the final say, the final thing. What do you want to say, Exodus?
I just wanted to say it's been nice to put names to faces and to show people, really Decred's it's a community of real people. I swear, if you look at many other projects, their community is a lot of bots, fake followers, bots. We have real people, and it seems like you guys really understand Decred. Like, you have a deep understanding, and that's why you're here. And I also really appreciate the optimism you guys have. It's crypto winter, crypto bear market, Decred quite down in price, but we're still all, fairly optimistic about the future, which is great to see. But I really like to thank you guys for coming on, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you,
guys. It's been great, and we definitely need you all on again, and definitely everyone out there, if you want to come on, hopefully maybe in a couple of months' time, we'll do another one of these, and we'll have some different people on, hopefully some of the same as well. And we'll talk more, and we'll try and get some more feedback from the community as well. But let's just say goodbye, and we'll see you guys next time. Well done, everyone. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Thank you.